Good afternoon, everyone. Mim Duffield here, head coach from Team 360 Performance. Happy Friday for those of you who are going to be celebrating the impending weekend at this silly season. I today wanted to share with you a couple of thoughts around some things, points of consideration when you're thinking about a new coach or a coach for the first time for that matter. I was at a coaching networking forum earlier today, and it sort of really triggered and highlighted how many facets there are to triathlon coaching. It's not just carefully planning the swimming, the cycling and the running. There's the nutrition component, and that's not just during race day, that's day-to-day life. There is the bike fitting aspect, there is a strength and conditioning program, and each of these facets on their own are a whole nother industry. There are people who have studied and dedicated decades to strength and conditioning. There are people who have studied for years on bike fit and the combination of the science and the art of that. And for me as a triathlon coach, I have an understanding of those areas and appreciate how they all fit together in and around and complement the swimming, cycling and the running component of a triathlon program. I guess sitting in this room with experts and doctors and scientists in each of those fields really highlights to me where the Team 360 component came from in our name, in that for any given athlete, you can have a coach who is a jack of all trades, in that they are prescribing your strength programs, they're doing your bike fit, they're doing your nutrition in day-to-day and in your race planning. But for me, from my perspective, I am all too happy to put my hand up and say, you know what? I don't have 10 years experience studying nutrition specifically or bike fits specifically. Yes, I've observed it, I've been educated on the process and how to go about it, but I'm not an expert at that. And as a coach, I would be the first person to put my hand up and say, you know what? I know who is though. I know who I can recommend, and I know who I would like my athletes to go and see to have those areas of their puzzle pieced together by someone who's an expert, who's got decades of experience and accreditations and studies to make them a subject matter expert. And for me to work with those people and the athlete together to have them in the best position possible. And that's really important for me as a coach, to not try and be a jack of all trades. I would much rather at this stage in my coaching career really fine tune and become a subject matter expert in prescribing swimming, cycling and running sessions to get an athlete in their best position possible in the scheme of everything else. And I understand that for those athletes, for my athletes, I am one piece of the puzzle, and they need a whole team, a whole village of people who is an expert in their field advising them and guiding them, and together we form a team around the athlete as the centrepiece. And yes, I appreciate that there are some coaches out there who have in fact been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years and have not only mastered their craft of swimming, cycling and running programs, but they have spent decades also studying the nutrition and the bike fit. And, one day absolutely I aspire to be like that. But at this point in time, I am more than comfortable with recognising where my limitations lie and making sure that the athlete is the priority. And I would suggest for any athlete who's looking for a new coach to consider how that coach fits in within their village and their advisors, and make sure that all fits together. And at the end of the day, everybody there is on your team and working with you in your best interest, and making sure that that puzzle comes together for you as an individual, as a priority. So for me, I guess I have each and every one of my athletes working with other advisors, and I'm okay with that. And I'm very confident in who they're working with, and me working with them as well. So that's my piece of advice today, is just to have a real think about who's in your team, who's in your village, and making sure that you are, as the athlete, the center of that team, and that everybody is working to complement each other, to work with each other to make sure that you get to where you want to be. So have a think about that for your next coach, or perhaps your first coach in the process, and make sure that everybody is working well for you. That's it for me for today. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Bye.